What we're going to look at here is the importance of setting a clear path and understanding your own visions and values, and to make sure that those who you're working with, or those who are part of your team, or those who are part of your organization, have a clear understanding of what it is you're trying to achieve and your clear objectives. And for that, we're going to look at a couple of potential ways forward. There are a number of models, and we certainly do not suggest you use them all, but I'm going to introduce you to most of the most important ones. So we're going to look at both the creation of visions, an understanding of a sense of mission, imbuing your organization with values that appeal to all its stakeholders, how setting clear goals and objectives can help you, and I will look at one example of synthesizing them all together, so you'll get some understanding of what it is that we are looking at trying to do, and what we're looking at trying to achieve here. Firstly, let's look at what Sun Tzu said on vision. I mean, Sun Tzu is quite clear that communicating a clear vision is really important. He goes far as to say, if the words of command are not clear and distinct, if orders are not fully understood, the general is to blame. But if his orders are clear and the soldiers nevertheless disobey, then it is the fault of their officers. Note one thing, he doesn't blame the ordinary soldier here. He has respect for them, but he insists that somebody has to be responsible to make sure that orders are understood and clear. And he also is very clear. He whose ranks uniting purpose will be victorious. So 2,500 years ago, he's rejecting playing the blame game onto ordinary people. He's saying you must understand that we must communicate things to them clearly, and they will follow us, and they will be there, and we will be victorious. But if we are unclear, then we will not succeed. So look at various points. Look at the first one. What do we mean by vision? Many companies, many organizations have a vision statement. And a vision statement is about being forward-looking. It's asking us, what do we want to become? What vision do we have of our future? It's important that this is something that is agreed on by the majority of the organization, or by, as far as possible, all of the organization. It's agreed to the basic vision for what the organization intends to achieve as it lives, as it goes forward. It is the thing that will give morale and buy-in, and all these terms you hear quite often. What it is the thing that actually will make them want to be part of your organization, will make them want to help you succeed. The way people look at visions, it's worth thinking about that. Pascal and Eiffos, writing about Japanese management in the 80s, made the point that great companies make meaning for their people. And saying how important it was that you actually gave meaning, gave definition, gave intent to your people if you wanted to bring them on board. And St. Benedict, even earlier than that, made the point that 3 people at work on a construction site, all doing the same job, are asked what they are doing. Breaking rocks says the first. Making a living says the second. Building a cathedral says the third. Breaking rocks is a simple description of exactly what you're doing and has no buy-in to the organisation as a whole. Making a living at least has some reasoning behind it, gives some idea what the person is trying to achieve. What is the point of it? Building a cathedral, though, is the true person who believes they are part of something bigger. And of course, that is of great importance. So, expectation and purposes that the mission will bring about for us. Well, let's have a look at what we're talking about. Here we're talking about the kind of things we might ask. So a mission statement, a vision might give us, what is our territory? What kind of organisation do we want to be? What decisions do we have to make to move us forward? We have to make decisions. We have to be prepared to push ourselves forward. And that is where it is important to have someone who is able and capable of making those decisions. All organizations, all teams must have somebody who is willing to take those leadership responsibilities, ideally more than one person. Your vision is what gives you direction. You must align your decisions and your actions with your vision. If you do not do that, you will have problems. Too many organizations have a highfalutin, very nice sounding vision. When it comes to it, that's not what they implement. The vision then will naturally become the mission. It will become before the mission, it will lead you into the mission. And you implement your vision through the strategy, through business plans, through employee objectives. Everything that you do must be aligned with the idea of your vision. If you choose to use vision, not all organizations need a vision, but many do. So the next one, mission statements. The vision statement is what do we want to become. A mission statement is more, what is our business? What are we at the moment? It is an enduring statement of purpose. Okay. It will differentiate between an organisation in similar enterprises. Two organisations may do similar things, but may have very different approaches. For instance, a high-class air carrier like British Airways, very much differentiated from a low-class one like Ryanair, but both basically do the same job of flying people from A to B. It is a definition of your raison d'être, say, your reason for being. Your mission statement is saying, we justify our very existence because this is what we do that is different. It's telling you what you want to be, tells you who you want to serve, what is the purpose you're going for. This is what you're actually being told by a mission statement. So you can see how it may relate to a vision statement. A vision statement may set up what you want to be, and then you will build on that for the mission. There's some overlap. There are two main schools of thought based around mission statements. Some people say, of course, it is there to capture the practical raison d'être of the organisation. So it's a very practical list of things you're going to do. And some people there say it's to capture the emotional drivers. Okay? The idea of what it is that motivates people. What does it make people love about being part of your organisation? How do you make people want to be part of your organisation? Campbell in 1990 argued that it's for the capture of both. It's the heart and mind of the organisation. So, mission statements often have different names, though. If you come across any of these following, you're probably actually looking at something, broadly speaking, a mission statement. They can be referred to as a statement of purpose. They can be referred to as a statement of business principles. Sometimes you hear them referred to as a statement of philosophy. There are a large number of definitions of mission statements, and you have to be clear about which one you're actually addressing, which one you're talking about. So what makes for an effective mission characteristic? Well, there are a number of things it needs to be. Effective mission statement needs to be broad in scope. It needs to cover all the things that you could be doing. It needs to generate a range of feasible strategic alternatives. It must open up your opportunities. It must not close you down. It must give you a variety of things that you can do to achieve what you want. It must link the fact there are lots of different and diverse stakeholders. You must design a mission that can be answerable to them all, that can help you deal with all of them. You must feel motivated. You must feel positive about a mission statement. Mission statement makes you feel negative, or which you have no reaction to, is not going to be effective. It must give a good impression of an organisation. A mission statement is outlooking. It must give you an idea of an organisation that's successful, that it knows where it's going, and that it's worth people putting time, money, effort into supporting this organisation, both internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. It is possible for a mission characteristics, a mission statement, to have an internal and external facing elements. So there may be some things internally you will not wish external people to know about. It's quite possible and quite feasible for that to happen. It gives you an idea for generating, but also for screening strategic options. You can come up with ideas that might work for you, but you have to ask themselves, does this actually generate, does this actually give us things that we can use? Or are these things that will not actually fall within the vision of what we're trying to achieve? And they must be dynamic. They must be able to react to the environment around you. Not everybody believes in vision and mission statements. Some people may use one or the other or both, but there are some organisations that actually believe it's more important to have something different. And one of the things is values as an alternative to mission and vision. Some organisations, a statement of values might be more acceptable. And this is definitely, if you're talking about public sector organisations, talking about non-governmental organisations, talking about charities, many of them may feel that rather than a mission statement, a set of values which they go forward with can be the most effective. Values are less tangible, so they are not a direct replacement for a vision system, but they can be more flexible as well. They can allow you to get on with doing things. Sometimes jokingly referred to as meatloaf statements, after they are, I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that. A song by Meatloaf. It starts saying you're kind of listing the things you won't do, what you won't do, what will be beyond the pale for you as an organisation in order to achieve your ends. Okay? They can be positive or negative. They can say we will do this. Whatever we do, we will make sure that we benefit certain groups, for instance, certain perhaps underrepresented stakeholder groups. Or they can be negative, as in not negative as in negative thing, but negative saying we will not do that. Like I said, the meat holder thing, that some things are beyond the pale doing that. So you'll be obviously giving examples of things where you'll be saying this organisation is trying to raise money, but it won't do certain things, for instance. The important thing about values is, though, if the organisation values are great, but if they might be the values of individuals, and that can be positive and negative depending on what the role of those individuals is within the organisation. Another characteristic instead of vision and mission can be goals. Sometimes referred to goals and objectives. For goals to work, they must be clear and long-term. They're trying to give your organisation that people can buy in for, people can believe in. A point about a goal, though, is it must make sure there's some element of it that links to all your important stakeholders. They must be clear, they must be simple and consistent. They cannot be something of which there is argument or debate. And you must be able to measure all elements of your strategy against them. One thing that we talk about regularly in strategic planning is aligning with your values, aligning with your goals, aligning with your objectives, aligning with your vision. If you do not align with them, you will lose people. People will move away from you. So that's one of the areas that's important. One thing worth looking at, something I like to talk about, is sometimes you'll see attempts to put these together into a single model. I'm just going to look at one which I quite like, but which is like all models, it is questionable. It is useful, but is it right? The attribute mission model asks a simple question. It asks purpose. So why do we exist? So it's a way of bringing together vision and mission to a certain extent. So it starts with your vision. Why do we exist? What is the point of us? It then leads in, and I've built on that, it's saying values, what do we believe in? Okay, so we have why we exist and we have what we believe in. So it gives us 2 areas of work. And from this we can develop a list of standards and behaviours. And these are the things, the policies and the behaviours and the things that we do that will guide us and help us going forward. And we can put this all together into making sure the strategy, we have a purpose, and now with a strategy we can try and achieve that purpose. But the attribute mission model is like many things, it is cyclical. And the whole point is to keep going around and considering it and asking questions and working on this. So therefore it's quite important for us to remember how we go forward and do this. So the attribute mission model is just a way of bringing representatives of various vision and mission sets together. So if you wish, it's a simple way for you to say, I'm going to use the attribute mission model, make sure I cover all important areas. Finally then, the usual question at any consideration of strategy. Are these approaches wrong? All models are wrong. They are wrong insofar as they actually are often used to give a false image, a false solution, etc. And they are not used to actually make a difference. So yes, they are wrong in that you can't just write a mission statement, or write a vision statement and organise the use of an organisation. But are they useful? And I would say that actually all of these approaches, if used properly and not overforced, don't try and do all 4 or all 5 of them. You'll be putting far too much effort in simply into maintaining a vision or mission, when actually rather than doing anything useful, they give you an opportunity to think out the situation, to sort out your thinking, to decide what's really, really important to you. So as usual, thanks for listening, and please put any questions below.